Greetings all. Welcome to Esoteric Babble. Kind of a special episode of Esoteric Babble today as we inaugurate some actual video. And I wanted to do a special episode mainly for Christmas, and I'm hoping actually to get it out today on the winter solstice. So, when the darkest of days, but light is now more light is entering into the world. So I wanted to talk a little bit about Christmas and how I think that for the esotericists, it has a good message. I mean, it has a good message of peace and love. Anyway, in general, just in sort of a way, even unreflectively, that I think is what we think of culturally, not even religiously, about Christmas. And of course, getting presents is good, but I think we all know that the message of Christmas is giving. But for the esotericist, I think that it's a day that we can use. It's something that we should celebrate every day, of course, but it is not bad to have these big events once a year that we can collectively come around, and it might recharge us and energize us to think about this issue more. And the way I look at Christmas is that all of us, almost, I don't think anyone is born a completely enlightened being. The Buddha was not. It took him several decades to work all that out. So we come into the world, into a world of darkness, the material world, sort of the Darwinian world. And of course, some people are born into real sort of horrible situations, but even the best of us are born into situations where loved ones are going to pass away. There's aging, there's death, there's sickness, there's just loss in general. Which is not to say that there aren't, of course, some joys mixed in there as well. But the sort of loss and suffering and lack of connection, it can be quite profound. And of course, that's where Buddhism, or the Buddha, that is the starting place for Buddhism. It's not the ending place. And I would say it's really the beginning place of almost all spiritual traditions, is that there's this recognition that the material world in which we live is not the best of all possible worlds. And even if that is the case, even if we know that, we don't always know how to how to combat that or how to deal with it best. And I think the message of Christmas is that light has been shown, light has come into the world through the teachings. The teaching, and you might even, once you strip away and make for, cultural allowances and differences of style and time, place, etc., the teachings boil down maybe to the teaching. Now, you might have to give me a little leeway on that one. But, from Lao Tzu to the ancient rishis of India to the Buddha and all that flowed out of what I've just mentioned, to, Pythagoras and Plato and the Egyptians, and certainly Jesus, whether you believe Jesus was a real person or even just the story, like Orpheus, and just how, the mystical union, the transcendence of the ego in general. These teachings and these experiences are something that help us. We are born into a world of darkness, but the light has come into this darkness, and we are able to take advantage of that. And it's really quite, it's really quite amazing, and it's something that we should be thankful for, that that it has worked its way in to what would we say, like it's something that we can learn about, and it probably wasn't always that way. And I know a friend of mine, speaking of Buddhism, had written on her Facebook page, she said, I hope when I am reborn that I'm reborn in a place where I can hear the teachings of the Buddha. And you might expand that and just say, I hope if we're reborn at all, and we probably most likely not going to escape samsara, if we're reborn, let us hope we encounter the teaching, and that it can be a guide for us. And not only is it a guide, I mean, I would say that it is a source of real joy. And it's not necessarily, like, I do think that there's a place for comforting words, when you are absolutely sort of depressed or bereft, when you are separated from those you love. There's a place for comforting words. But I think the teaching that we are concerned with even goes beyond that. It is leading us to hopefully it leads us into an experience of great joy. And it's a path that when you practice meditation and right view and etc., however you want to describe these steps, or practices, that we really can sense this. The more we whittle away at the ego, which is part of the darkness, the more joy and love and compassion and that flows out of us. And one final little thing, I'm trying to keep this short. I'm not sure where we are on the time right now. One thing that I would mention is, and it's something that was overlooked by me until I think just a couple months ago, and I sort of had an epiphany on this, but oftentimes we hear a phrase like in the first chapter of John, that light came into the world, and talk of the world in whether it's Buddhism or any spiritual tradition, Christianity, Gnosticism. We have to remember that our bodies are part of the world. Actually, so are our minds, and our conscious experience is part of the world. So that when the light is shining in darkness, it's shining into the world. It's shining in us. Our bodies are part of the world, and they will go the way of conditioned, sort of compounded things in the world. It's just, that's the way it is. Our consciousness will probably continue. That is my, I have no reason really to doubt that at this point in my life. I've been a little skeptical of that in the past, but to be quite honest, I feel like one's consciousness can certainly continue. But keeping in mind, our goal is not for consciousness to continue in that way from life to life to life to life. We are trying to escape this endless cycle. So we have to keep in mind our bodies, everything that we can kind of think of, sense, with any sense faculty, is conditioned and will decay. Everything that has an origin is going to have a cessation. Let me attempt that in Pali. Yang kinchi samudayang damang sabang tang nirodha damang. I think I have that right. So at any rate, and if I don't, you can let me know. I'll check on that in a minute. So that's basically what I have for you today. That's my meditation on Christmas. Yes, all conditioned things, all material reality is subject to coming into existence and passing away, but the teachers and the teaching that has come into the world is a gift, and it is It's there to help us transcend the ego and to hopefully someday escape this cycle of birth and death. It's also there to help us be filled not only with love, peace, and joy, but to give, to radiate this love, peace, and joy. And on that note, I will wrap this up. A very Merry Christmas and peace and happiness to all sentient beings everywhere.